drowned to death in a Tempe Park as cops essentially just watched it happen and refused to help. The cops have been placed on administrative leave, as always, but their union is actually defending their decision to literally stand there and watch a man drown to death and refuse to intervene. Now, first, let's set up the story. What happened? Well, police responded to a disturbance between Sean Bickings and a woman who's now been identified as his wife. Apparently, they were in some sort of dispute at the Tempe Center for the Arts, which actually sits on a promenade along, I should say, the Tempe Town Lake. Okay, so that is a reservoir, and the cops show up. They try to figure out what the dispute is. His wife tells them everything's fine. We just had a disagreement. There's no abuse. Nothing's wrong. Body camera footage released by the city shows officers approach and speak to a woman who identified herself as Bickings' wife. As she picked up her belongings off the ground, she explained that she and Bickings sometimes have disagreements, but said that he did not physically harm her. By the way, Bickings was described as unsheltered, so homeless. And so 2 of the officers then walked over to Bickings, who was seated on a bench facing the water, according to the body camera footage. By this point, the officers were running the couple's names for outstanding warrants, which is apparently standard procedure, according to the city. The police later said Bickings had 3 outstanding warrants, but this is important. Those didn't actually come up during Bickings' encounter with the police. They found out about the warrants after the fact. Now, that's when Bickings decided to slowly climb over this short fence dividing the boardwalk and the water. When one of the officers asked, like, what are you doing? Bickings said, I'm free to go, right? And so what you're about to see is what happens next based on the body cam surveillance. Let's take a quick look at that and then I'll explain more.
I'm free to go, right? You can't swim in the lake, man. I'm free to go, right? You're not allowed to swim in the lake. How far do you think he's going to be able to swim? You gotta keep an eye. Yeah. Well, you guys got to stay here in case he gets out. I'll get that to get you with the boat. All right.
I'm pretty sure there's like turbines at the base of the dam that can suck him into the water. Got it.
So they cut the body cam footage after that, right? They say it's too disturbing to release to the public. I think they should release it. And the reason why I say that is because the public deserves to know exactly what happened. They released a transcript of what happened afterwards, and I want to get to that transcript. Cenk, let me read the transcript first, and then I'll go to you, because I think that's the most important part of this story. So Bickings told the officers he was going to drown, according to the transcript. No, you're not, an officer identified as Officer 2 replied. Officer 1 then directed Bickings to go to the pylon and hold on. I'm drowning, Bickings said. Come back over to the pylon, Officer 2 said. I can't, Bickings said, I can't. Okay, I'm not jumping in after you, Officer 1 said, and he didn't. Okay, and as you guys can probably already tell, the cops have not been identified yet. Bickings then begged for help and said moments later, I can't touch, oh God, please help me. And they did not. And eventually his partner got involved and begged them to help her husband. And of course they refused to do so. They were annoyed with her demands. And it's just incredibly tragic. And the union, of course, is defending the cops to say, well, you know, it would have been very dangerous for them to jump in the water. And you can hear from the video that we played that one of the cops was concerned about possible turbines in the water that could have been sucking him down into the water. Because in the beginning of the video, you can see him swimming and he looks like a good swimmer. I don't know if the turbines really exist. That's unclear at the moment. But what I do know is you have 3 cops there. 3 cops are now on administrative leave who just refuse to do anything.
Okay, so let's understand the logic of the cops here. They said it was too disturbing to release to the public the video of him drowning. But apparently it was not disturbing enough for them to actually try to save his life. So we can't even see how awful it was as he was drowning. But the cops saw it in real life and were like, don't care.
Not going in after you.
Don't care at all. You're dying, what am I, a cop here to save you? So which one is it? If it's so horrific that the public can't see it, well, obviously the cop did something wrong, right? Nope, cop did something perfectly fine. They say, well, if he had gone in, he might have lost his own life. Oh my God. If you're a cop, you might have to risk your life? Yes, that's supposed to be part of the job. But this is, I've told you guys this 100 times, 1,000,000 times, and no one's ever going to fix this. Biden, all the Democrats, all the Republicans are too busy kissing the cops' asses and shoveling them more money towards them.
No, but you're being super unfair to them because they also kneel in kente cloths and do performative politics and theater. So great job with that.
So the reality is, all the cops in this country are trained. You're more important than the citizens. Do not ever risk anything, even any kind of harm, to save the life of a lowly citizen. Well, of course, unless they're rich, then you must risk everything to protect them and their property, okay? But if you're the middle class or poor, just let them drown, who cares? You're not gonna get in any trouble at all. Better to be judged by 12 than carried out by 6. Who cares? That's what we teach our cops. Because I'll tell you guys, most people jump in to save the guy, unless they're trained to be callous, unless they're trained to not give a crap about other people's lives. And that's what we do with our cops. We're like, remember guys, no one else is important, only you. You are the most important. No, your whole job is supposed to be to risk your life for others. Otherwise, go be a goddamn accountant. It's a perfectly noble job. You just sit there with numbers. You don't have to risk your life at all, okay? So look, now let's get to the horrifying details. He might get sucked in by turbines. That wasn't a cop, that was a citizen that was there. The cop's like, yeah, whatever, man. Okay, you say, look, I get it in the beginning. You go to look into a disturbance, maybe they fought, but now they're telling you they aren't. You're looking up the warrants, no problem. The guy jumps in, that's a giant pain in the ass. I got it, no problem, okay? And then you tell him not to swim out and he's still swimming out. That sucks. Am I getting on the cops for not jumping in at that point? No. But when the guy says I'm drowning, maybe you don't believe him in the beginning. Okay, give him as much leeway as you want, right? But when you don't see him come out of the water for 30 seconds and you say it on the tape, and you start to worry that he's gonna drown, that's when you jump in. You've got to jump in there. But then you don't see him for minutes. You gotta jump in. You gotta jump in if you don't see him for minutes. Hurry up, time is ticking. He told you he was drowning and now it looks like he is drowning. Get in there. They say, oh no, I might get a hangnail, I might get a paper cut. I'm gonna get wet, that's a kind of a pain in my ass. To save a life? That's not my life, what do I care? I'm a cop. And that's the actual decision they made. And if you're looking for consequences, it would be shocking if they were fired.
Right, as I mentioned, the police union has already run interference on behalf of the cops. I'll get to that in 1 second, but I just wanted to give you a statement from the transcript from Bickings' wife. So she's begging them to help, begging them to save her husband. And she says, quote, "He's everything I got, I can't lose him, he's going to die." Now, since he was described as unsheltered, I'm gonna assume that she's also unsheltered. Imagine having literally nothing other than your partner, and you're standing there with people who could help save him, and they just watch him die. And you watch him die along with them, begging them for help, and they refuse to do it. Now, in the aftermath, as I mentioned, they've been placed on administrative leave. The Tempe Officers Association, the city's police union, said in a statement that Bickings' drowning was an awful loss of life. The union argued, however, that the officers were not trained or equipped for a water rescue and said that an attempt to rescue Bickings from the reservoir would have been dangerous. You know, what I'm also curious about is they didn't even bother to call anyone else for help.
Yeah,
right?
no, they claim that they called like a boat and a fire department, et cetera, but it's gonna take hours for them to get, you know when they fished them out of the water? 6 hours later, nobody jumped in. Nobody jumped in, nobody cared. They say it might be dangerous. Yeah, your job is supposed to be dangerous. It's like the fire department going, what do you want us to rush into a burning building to save kids and people? That's the job, yes, that's the job. If you don't want to do the job, then go away and get fired and go do something else. I'm gonna read you the exact quote from the Tempe Officers Association. They said, quote, attempting such a high risk rescue could easily result in the death of the person in the water and the officer who could be pulled down by a struggling adult. Oh, wow, you could be in a little bit of danger. Yeah, that's why you're a cop. Don't ever tell me the cop is the most dangerous job. It's the easiest, cushiest, least risky job in the world. We teach them to be callous monsters who should never ever take any risk with their lives and let civilians die and go, oh my God, hey, look, it's a 12-year-old boy. What are we gonna ask him if it's a toy gun or if it's nothing? Just shoot him dead, who cares? That's Tamir Rice, and we can give you hundreds of examples. So now people have lost faith in police. I mean, if you're rich, you haven't lost faith. They'll protect your mansion, don't worry, right? But if you're poor or middle class, now you're stuck. You have criminals everywhere, but you're afraid that if you call the cops, A, they're not gonna show up, and B, if they do, they might hurt you. So we're all screwed, and no one is going to do anything about it. This is as dark as I have ever seen America.
Yep.
Because the Republicans love all of this dysfunction and that the fact that the country has turned into a barbaric hellscape, right? Where poor and middle class are crushed by corporate rule.
Day in, day out.
And the only people that are protected are the rich and the powerful. The Republicans love it, they live for it. And the Democrats are indifferent. They just cash checks. Oh, did the corporate donor send the money? Yeah, great. No, we're not gonna do anything about police reform. Let them drown. Let them get shot in a school. We're not gonna do any gun control. We're not gonna do voting rights. We're not gonna do higher wages. We're not gonna do any things that we lied about. And the corporate media comes in and says, it's all okay, everybody. Move along, everybody. Move along, it's all okay. This is perfectly normal. It's not normal. This is barbaric.